even in the most remote areas in our region. And therefore, the question is, why is the same thing not happening with the other science and technology innovations in agriculture for development that has been around for many years? And this is why His Excellency President Annan once said there is no shortage of science and technology to achieve a green revolution in Africa, but what is lacking is the will to actually practice. And this is the kind of thing that I want to deal with today. How do we increase the putting in practice? The World Development Report of 2008 actually also says that only 24% of cultivated land in Sub-Saharan Africa is actually using well-proven varieties and breeds. And many of these varieties and breeds that we are using a lot of money through the CJR to develop actually become obsolete. They are actually utilized. They move it to new breeds and new varieties, and the old ones are not being utilized. When you look at the area of water, which is the major problem that you're hearing from Somalia at the moment in terms of drought, only 4% of our cultivated land is treated with improved water management solutions, which have been developed and perfected over many years. Why is that a problem? Certainly, one area that is a major crucial is really outside the science and technology arena itself, but in the area of failed markets and trade. And we have had a lot of programs trying to promote the adoption of technologies and innovation for productivity enhancement, but they're not being taken up because even smallholders are not stupid and they want to spend hard-earned cash to adapt technologies, and then the surplus that they produce goes to waste, or it gives them very, very little returns. Another area is limited skills. Our education system or extension systems are really not working very well to build very high level of skills that enable people to adapt and utilize and innovate with science and technology that's already available. But another most important area is the disconnect between agricultural R&D and the business interests of the agri-SME. In the region, Southern Africa region, and probably other developing regions, especially in South Asia, there is a huge missing middle in the sense that there's a lot of programs by development assistance and government that is dealing with the smallest of the smallest farmers and other agri-operators. And then there is a private sector investment and funding that goes to the large scale system. But in the middle, which is should be the driver of development and agri-SMEs, there is very little sort of link and working with those. The third area that limits the uptake of proven SMT is the high risks. And certainly very little analysis and diagnostics, especially to support businesses by agri-SMEs. So why are the markets and trade, especially in food commodities, so limited and failed? I believe there are two elephants in the room that we really talk about. This is the self-sufficient strategies of nearly everybody, including large and small countries. We always complain about the US and Europe and other OECD countries with their subsidies. But even when you look at the policies in poor countries themselves, most of the agricultural system, especially for food, is driven by this unblessed desire for self-sufficiency and really not promoting trade-based systems. And the other area, the other elephant is keeping too many small holders on the farm. There is this belief that it is the on-farm productivity that is the solution, it is the smallholder that is the solution to poverty eradication and so on and so on. And as a result, a lot of other sectors that can provide employment opportunities for people to actually escape from poverty are neglected in the developmental thinking and development assistance. And we put a lot of money into trying to develop productivity on the farm and therefore keeping a lot of people on the farm, which in the end it becomes a poverty trap and there's very little escaping from poverty. We need to really deal with those two issues. And certainly my organization will try to deal with the second one because it's slightly easier, but the first one is much larger and it's something that we need to look at ways to deal with that. So therefore, for us, there is a need to change gears in terms of development assistance and public sector investment for poverty reduction through agriculture. And we think the starting point should be deepening of markets. And in our case, we think that regional blocks like the East African community, which we're working with, is a real golden opportunity to deepen markets and if people are willing to adopt regional-based food security strategies and agricultural for development strategies at regional level. The other area really is to invest more on commercial agri-SMEs and farms, but also to focus outside the farm and go into agro-processing, value addition, and basically helping people to leave the farm and to do other things, which are very, very important for development in our regions, but they're neglected at the moment. But to expand agri-SMEs, there are two areas that we think are very, very important. This is the skills to enhance farming as business professionalism, which is missing at the moment, and the business development and management, which is an area which is given very little attention. And is given very little attention because a lot of our agricultural R&D by our universities, international and local universities, by the CGR system, is controlled by biologists. And the sooner we go beyond biology in solutions to engineering, processing, to energy and power for rural areas. So there is too much supply side driven productivity enhancement work and very little beyond that. And therefore there is a missing balance in the solutions that are available. And this is the area where we need to change gear and put a little bit more emphasis. But we are also aware that the technologies beyond biology are available from other sectors. There's a lot of engineering technologies from other sectors that can be brought into agriculture for development and utilized to solve a lot of problems that we're facing in that area. So for us in Kilimo Trust, we are in East Africa, we're working in three areas. We work in building agri-SMEs to accelerate the adoption of science and technologies. And for example, just give you an example, in northern Uganda, South Sudan, and the northeastern DRC Congo, these are areas that are just emerging out of conflict. And for quite some time, honey production has been seen as a very good approach to lifting those areas out of poverty because honey is naturally available and therefore it's just a question of collecting it and so on and so on. But therefore, a lot of money was put again in supporting the producers of honey, and there was very little marketing and processing. And what Kilimo Trust did was we went there actually and put up a factory, a $500,000 factory for processing honey and packing it into international standards. And then creating linkages to urban markets, including airlines. And then that drove very rapid adoption of modern production technologies and modern beehives in these very, very remote areas. Because again, after processing, then you're able to increase the shelf life and being able to market this product long distance. And another area that we found to be very, very interesting is even in the staple foods like grains, we have things like a World Food Program trying to do what they call purchase for progress. But when the grains are scattered in small quantities by smallholder farmers, the transaction cost of collecting this is very, very high, and therefore it is really not beneficial. But then if you intervene and support formation of business groups of smallholders with warehouses and drying facilities, you are, in some cases, will be able to cut the transaction cost of collecting this by 66%. The other area that is very, very important is the issue of financing and promoting risk-taking in terms with the science and technology. And what we've been doing is to do financing through returnable grants and the loan guarantee schemes with banks to actually enable agri-SMEs to invest and take risks with the new technologies. One, for example, technology has been very, very successful in cloning for producing planting material for trees in the region. This is one of our major programs where we are now running private clonal nurseries, which are producing tremendous number of high quality planting materials that are promoting afforestation in the region. But the most important area that we have started to work on is to develop trade-based food security at regional level. Because of the high level of development of the communities of the community, we believe that it provides a very, very good instrument for having a common food security strategy that is driven by trade across the region. So going forward, our suggestion of what should be the role of interventions by public sector and development assistance is basically to narrow our focus. At the moment, I think public sector governments and development assistance is spread too thin, trying to do too many things, and very few of those are strategic. And we really need to suggest a narrowing of focus, to focus on expanding incentives for the private sector, including the smallholders themselves, to adapt and utilize such a technology for agriculture for development. And really this public and development assistance investment should go to large and strategic investments to reduce risk. That's our major area of focus. And this will include like infrastructure for water control. Africa is not short of water, even Somalia has got water, but that water is not controlled, it's not harvested, it's not stored, and that's the main issue. And then market supporting infrastructure that will enable, like the warehouses that we're building in East Africa, that's enabling Partners for Progress to cut their transaction cost of collecting grain substantially. And certainly, of course, at the global level, facing the broken trade in food security. We should really move away from intervening in small things such as input subsidies and other product, sort of supply side kind of intervention. Organizations like ours, and development NGOs, a lot of members of the SID, we really need to focus more on building of skilled, viable, and investable agri-MSC. This is basically what I call the missing middle. We have got too much emphasis by the public sector on the smallest, and too much focus by the private sector on the large, but the middle, which is the biggest driver, is basically missing in this system. And that should be the focus going forward, because this really are the people who can actually take up SNT and utilize it effectively. We also really need to focus on linking such SMEs after they've been developed and supported to profitable markets. And then, as I said at the beginning, the last point should be efforts to create employment beyond the farm in agro-processing, value addition, and actually